Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is the week in review. Now, this is an interesting week because, for one thing, we did live reactions to Raw on Netflix, courtesy of Sean with his TwitWow request live. So this week, I think it would be better to just really keep the focus on SmackDown and especially NXT because this was their New Year's Evil television event. And we had two major title changes on this show. Julia is now your new NXT Women's Champion. And of course, what we're all here for, Obafemi, our God King, is now the NXT champion. As far as SmackDown goes, really the biggest thing to come out of it, we're still building to KO versus Cody, the ladder match at Rumble. No Solo this week from the recap of SmackDown that I watched. But Jacob Fatu and company were still running roughshod over everybody, including ruining LA Knight's United States Championship rematch, ending in a disqualification. But the only other thing that seemed worthwhile to me was we have the first challenger for Tiffany Stratton's championship next week on SmackDown. It will be Bayley after she beat Nia Jax, Bianca Belair, and Naomi in a fatal four-way. So on the whole, I'd say this week was pretty decent. I think it started hot with the Raw Netflix premiere, especially given the numbers they did according to the data. New Year's Evil for me was the height of the week, just given a lot of the booking. There was something that kind of annoyed me, but it is what it is. And then SmackDown, I think, is really where it ebbed out. Definitely the weakest show of the week. How did you feel about this week, partner?
You pretty much echoed my exact sentiments. I really enjoyed NXT, really enjoyed Raw. Although Raw was kind of a weird one because like the actual quality of any given thing on Raw was not really all that incredible. Like there wasn't really an amazing match on Raw. The John Cena promo was definitely incredible, but like no other promo on Raw was really all that exceptional. It was just the vibe. The vibe of Raw this week was impeccable. It was immaculate.
It
Um,
really was. Yeah,
yeah,
the
uh,
presentation was fantastic.
yeah,
Like you said, the vibe was impeccable. I do agree with you. Cena's promo, I think, was one of the real highlights of the show. I was very disappointed we didn't get Lyra Valkyria versus Dakota to crown the inaugural Raw Women's Intercontinental Champion, but that'll be
hmm
this coming Monday.
yeah.
So,
That
and
I
I'm
will
still
say that is also well, and not only that, but we also didn't get another match that they set up, which was the New Day versus Rey Mysterio and a mystery partner, which was we were assuming going to be Penta. But the good news is they did set up a really strong looking card for this coming Raw, which is in just 2 days now. It'll be over in 2 days exactly. Looking forward to that for sure. We've got Penta's debut most likely against Gable. You've got the women's intercontinental title finals between Lyra and Dakota, and I would not be surprised at all if Becky Lynch returned at the end of that match, like after the winner is declared.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a fun one for sure. And I'm sure there's more than that that's already been advertised. That's just what I remember and what really sticks out in my head. Um, I think we might get something about the War Raiders. The War Raiders are doing something, I think, on Monday. I just forget what it is.
Maybe they're defending the Raw tag titles. I mean, they are the new champions,
That's what I
so
mean. I'm pretty sure they do have a match. I just forget who it's against, really.
well, that's fair. So that's essentially Raw. Again, we live reacted to it this week, so I don't really feel the need to really focus in on it or emphasize anything from it.
Yeah.
'Cause I think our discussions and our reactions, quite literally, they're on the live reaction, so you guys can check
Yep.
that out.
But then
I yeah,
NXT, man, NXT was the shit this week. NXT was great.
NXT was so great that I think I would like to talk about it last, just because I think that was both of our high points this week. And yeah, that really
I
doesn't
mean, we
leave
don't
much.
really even need to talk about Raw because we live reacted to it, like you said.
Precisely. And with SmackDown, there really isn't much to say either. It felt very much like a just a low-key kind of show. Again, they are kind of building Tiffany Stratton's title reign because we know Bayley's going to be her first challenger. I did like the promo to set this Fatal 4-Way up, and the Fatal 4-Way itself was fine. I liked the potential story beat in the 4-Way where Candice gets involved, is pulling on Bianca's braid because everybody got to be pulling on Bianca's braid. And then she pulls it back, but the whip attack that she does with it hits Naomi. And Bianca's got this look on her face like, oh shit, like I know it's a fatal 4-Way, but I obviously wasn't gonna hit you with that because we know the selling of that braid. It's like a gun going off in your ribs. It hurts. So she really didn't want Naomi to be the victim of that, obviously.
Yeah.
And then yeah, Candice pulls her out. So I don't know if Bianca and Candice are gonna, branch off and do anything. But then Naomi tries to get back in it against Bayley. Bayley gets the rose plant, gets the win. So again, we don't really know who attacked Jade. I know Charlotte's one rumor. I would still love if it was Naomi. Even though again, I know she doesn't have the best record being heel, but I just think from a narrative perspective, how Umber laid it out, it was just perfection. So we'll have to see. But yeah, man, I mean, beyond that, I really look at this SmackDown and I'm like, we could have skipped this entirely. And I don't think we would have missed much. It is curious where Solo Sokoa is. And I'm wondering how Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and most importantly, Jacob Fatu are going to react when he reemerges and what Solo himself does when he reemerges.
Yeah.
But we don't play with that question too much. Instead, it's it's Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu just kind of running roughshod, beating up everybody. And again, I said LA Knight's title match got interrupted, which not really much to say about that. I'm loving Nakamura's heel character, but
I
I mean,
loved
it's
that
LA
though.
Knight.
I love
Yeah.
that though because they showed a backstage segment where security was trying to kick Jacob and Tama out of the building, and then they had Tama out, and Jacob threatened one of the security guys, and he was like, you better think about what you're doing, you're gonna regret it and stuff. And then LA Knight comes in and he fucking tosses Jacob out, closes the door on him so that it's locked, I would assume.
Yeah.
And so that kind of set up for LA Knight to get his just desserts later on in the night when Tama and Jacob attack him during his attempt to regain the Intercontinental title or the United States title rather. Yeah,
Yes.
I
Yes.
thought that was really well done just because like they kind of set it up and then paid it off that same night. I like that.
Definitely. I like it too, man. I like it too. So,
Well, I'll tell you what I don't like.
which is
I don't like Cody Rhodes' hypocritical running out of words, so he has to resort to violent ass.
Yeah, I mean, here you're talking about a guy, and I'm gonna be honest. This was one segment that when I was watching the recap, I skipped the beginning of it of just Cody's promo with Heyman. Essentially, again, Roman Reigns declares for the Royal Rumble. Heyman lets Cody know that Roman Reigns wants his title back,
Yeah.
and then Kevin Owens rightfully points out to Cody, "This is all your fault.
Yep.
You betrayed my friendship to team with Roman
To help
over."
him.
Yeah, to help Roman against this new bloodline, whatever threat. So rather than letting them tear each other apart, you have to come in and try and fix it. And now, how do you get thanked by Paul Heyman telling you that Roman Reigns wants his title back?
Yeah.
And Kevin, again, rightly points out this is your fault. You put your neck out in this situation, you extended yourself, and this is what happens.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
And Kevin is doing nothing but speaking truth to power. And Cody probably knows that. So he, rather than even attempting to argue with him or have a promo war with him or, debate him on the mic, like I said, he resorts to violence. He just goes up and just attacks him.
yes, because Kevin pointed out, I love that he said this too, like, because if you would lose that title to Roman Reigns, that would be a threat to the entire company. And, again, anybody that remembers Roman Reigns' reign over 3 years, we know how infrequently that title got defended. We know how he conducted himself as champion, in kayfabe. And so, yeah, Owens has got all the ground in the world to say it. But Cody, like you said, he can't really retort. So it's like, I'm going to beat you up instead. And this ultimately just breaks down into a main event of, what was it, Sammy and Jimmy Uso because they try and help Cody. Actually, no, I think it was Jimmy and Cody against Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu.
Yep.
But then Kevin Owens would come out. Kevin would fight with Cody. Cody, I think, would do a takedown to both of them, putting them both through a table. And then Jimmy would get pinned back in the ring by Jacob Fatu. So yeah, Jimmy not getting really much done either. Him and Cody both kind of took L's as far as I'm concerned. But again, big news there is Roman is in the Rumble, and that means this Rumble is stacked.
Yeah, because Cena and Punk both declared themselves for the Rumble on Monday. Now we've got Roman in the Rumble as well. That's arguably three of the biggest names on the entire roster, and really even one of the biggest names of all time in Cena. And you could even go as far as to say two of the biggest names of all time, because I would say Roman's in that category at this point too. Both being in the same Rumble, it's pretty huge.
Yes. Yes. I'm very curious how this Rumble is gonna go. It's only one of the more stacked men's rumbles in recent memory.
Yep.
Uh, Beyond that, I mean Chelsea and Michin, they kind of continue their beef. There's a women's United States Championship match, solid back and forth between the two. I love that Piper is dressed like a Secret Service agent.
Dude, that was
So yeah,
great. That was hilarious. And I love too that like they're doing like the whole "I pledge allegiance to Chelsea Green" gimmick thing. That's cool too.
if they let Chelsea keep the title long enough, which I have my doubts about, but if she would even get like a 6 plus months reign, I would really consider her for title reign of the year just because of like the character work she's doing with it. It's really entertaining and a cut above of what we see most, which is just these really capable in-ring competitors that have long title reigns. Like give me some personality in that, you know? And
Yep.
I think
She
Chelsea
gives
is yeah,
herself to everything, man.
yeah, she really does. She really does. I think she's one of the more understated women. With how hot women's wrestling is, Chelsea's a real commodity to have on your roster
Yep.
because she'll bring the character, and it doesn't even lack in the in ring work either. She can do it all. So yeah, she cheats again with Meechin, grabbing the tights this time to get the win. So I like that they're keeping Meechin. They're protecting her, and you can very easily slot her back in for another rematch, if they put her in like a number one contenders match or something down the road, or even if this is just sufficient evidence, like, come on, Chelsea, you got to beat Meechin more convincingly than that. And they do it again because, yeah, I enjoy these two's matches. And if Meechin were ultimately to beat Chelsea for the title and it would be a shorter reign, I'd be okay with it because it's her. I mean, you're talking about two women that really work great with each other that I think are a perfect first feud for this championship. Nothing really much more to say there. Tag team division kind of heats up because on one hand you have Los Garza, so it's Angel and Berto beating Pretty Deadly. I mean, I really like Pretty Deadly, but they are. I think they were my jobbers of the year just this last year, because they never freaking win. Los Garza win after a pretty solid match, and then A Town Down Under lose to Motor City Machine Guns. I really don't care either about Grayson Waller or Austin Theory. I think Waller might one day get his heat back and actually be a pretty solid heel. I feel like they want to make Austin Theory like that young John Cena type top babyface. That ain't gonna freaking happen. Because
Dude,
they've
I
just been
saw a clip of them on I think Twitter where
yeah.
they were talking about oh god, I don't even remember what they were talking about, but oh, they were talking about all the celebrities I think that were on Raw, and Waller just stood out so much, and Theory stood out, but he stood out because every single time he spoke, it dragged the energy of the clip down to zero, and then Waller would pick it up, and he was like, "Oh, charisma has re-arrived in the picture." And then Theory would talk, and they'd be like, "Oh no, there it goes again." It's just so crazy how stark the contrast is between them and charisma.
Yeah. And I
Did
just
someone post
man,
that in our Discord, or did I see that somewhere else?
I'm not sure. I feel like you must have seen it somewhere else but then again, I don't think I've been on wrestling discussion much today in the Discord, so you might have found it there.
I don't know if it was today. I thought it was earlier this week.
Yeah, because I'm not seeing anything. But yeah, I mean, I think Grayson Waller definitely, he's so good at being hateable. Whereas I think they want Austin Theory to be a babyface, and I don't see it at all. So yeah, Machine Guns keeping their momentum. Obviously, you guys already know I
Oh,
want
it was
Street
in
Profits
live
to be my new
wrestling
favorite.
discussion, and it was yesterday during SmackDown, but which is why you didn't see it though, because you weren't around for SmackDown yesterday.
No, I was not. No, I was not. So yeah, that's what's happening in the tag division. Hopefully, Street Profits just get theirs.
Oh yeah, Waller made fun of Macaulay Culkin and everything. That was the whole deal.
Oh,
I'm
nice,
gonna
nice.
ping you real quick with this clip, so if you ever want to check it out, you have an easier way of finding it, so you can just look at your pings.
Okay. But yeah, then the women happened, and then the main event, which we already talked about. So
Yeah,
I'd say we're already done with SmackDown. Let us get on
NXT.
to NXT. Yes, New Year's Evil.
Let's just rip the band-aid off and talk about the one truly awful thing that happened on this show, which was Lexis King retaining.
Alexis King definitively winning the Heritage Cup. Because let's remember, it was returned to Charlie Dempsey, and this was a sudden death affair.
Right, that's fair. Yeah, that's
Eh,
it's funny though because I was thinking even while the match was happening, even if Lexis King wins this match, we still will be able to say that he never beat Charlie Dempsey in a proper Heritage Cup British Round Rules style match for that championship.
yeah,
Like he had to basically get Charlie disqualified. Like Regal helped him get Charlie disqualified the first time, so he didn't really beat him there. And this isn't a British Round Rules match, like straight up. Like so, yeah. Like he never actually beat him in the type of match you're supposed to earn that title in order to earn that title. So he never really earned that title in my eyes. So yeah, that's that.
yeah. I look forward to seeing what NQCC does next to bounce back. I'd like to see Charlie in the North American Championship picture, and Miles and Tavion. I still very much want to see one day be tag team champions.
Yeah.
And Ren, I'm trying to be realistic. Maybe at most I could hope for a women's NA championship, but honestly, even her just as the manager and as the kind of relief of the group is working tremendously for me. So I'm not gonna be greedy. But then, after, well, not after that, but the first really good thing, Roxanne Perez's championship reign has finally come to an end.
Yep.
Her rematch with Julia, which I thought was insanely good, my first match of the year. Mainly, I'll tell you, because of the work of Roxanne Perez. I said it on the Discord, and I'll say it here again to make it official. I love Utami to death. I will ride with her until the day I die, but I think she's finally got competition as far as like my fave goes, because anybody knows me knows I love fluid, seamless technical wrestling, and how Roxanne just goes hold for hold, and some of her counter wrestling, she is fantastic. And to be as young as she is and as good as she is already really isn't fair. But my God, is it delightful to watch. And then Julia, it's Julia. She's attained a status where even her name, I think, encapsulates everything that is so wonderful. Um, Very physical matchup. Everything looked super clean. I know the pivotal moment came. Julia gets a Northern Lights bomb on the outside. I thought, I'll tell you what, man, for a split second, I really thought they were going to do the double count out. And then these two were going to have a third and final match, which I do still expect one more match, just
Yeah.
not in the
With
way
just
that
a
I
title
originally expected it.
defense. Yeah.
Exactly. But I thought it was going to be a double count out at first. And then Cora Jade comes in, gets Roxanne back in the ring. I'm like, no way. Are they about to have Roxanne retain twice? And then what? Put Cora in a shark cage? But no, Julia thankfully got back in the ring. Roxanne hits Pop Rocks. She's able to
Hated
recover
that.
first because, beg pardon?
I said I hated that.
Yeah, I know you didn't care for that. I think I forgave it because my mindset was very similar to Javaris. Where given that Cora did kind of help her up to her feet, maybe that like accelerated her getting her bearings first. Hits Pop
See, but
Rocks,
I feel
Julie
like it would
kicks
be the
in.
opposite though. Like if you think about, I feel like we've had matches where there's been someone who got hit by something really hard in the ring and they rolled out of the ring and their so-called friend, and this was like a betrayal situation, their so-called friend threw them back into the ring before they were ready and they got pinned almost right away. And it like cost them the match, and the person that threw them back in the ring cost them the match because of the fact that they just recently got hit by an offensive move. It's like I don't see how throwing someone who is out of it by that much back in the ring is going to make them recover when we have like historical evidence that it's like the opposite. Like you're throwing them back in the ring, it's like throwing them to the fucking wolves.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I guess for me, I was just in the back and forth enough not to pay it too much mind, but I can
I
see
mean, no,
why.
no, dude, that's
Yeah,
the thing. I'm not trying to like convince you that the match was bad by any means. The match was still great.
yeah.
And that's just one of those moments where it'll take some people out of it and it won't take others, and it took me out of it.
Yeah, when I think about, matches that you and I gravitate to, I would like these two to do like a Queen's Road style kind of matchup. Just really go at it, and having Julia just, had to come back and fire up because Roxanne was brutal after the kick out for Pop Rock. She went right into a big Fujiwara where she was really extending that arm. Julia tries to pin her. Roxanne kicks out. And then I think it just leads to another little skirmish before Julia again hits another Northern Lights bomb for the win.
Yeah, I wanted to
Uh,
ask, did anything what was happening to Julia prior to her hitting the Northern Lights bomb on the outside that caused her to take so long to recover to get back into the ring?
I honestly don't recollect at this point. I know that Roxanne was very concentrated on Julia's left arm during the match, so maybe more of that work was taking place. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I mean, it was a very physical matchup between these two, and Julia does win the title. I'll tell you, Julia, what a career. Poached from Ice Ribbon, where she seemed like she was starting to get her bearings, but we even saw in the beginning of her starting run how green she was. To go from being as green as she was to being what she's become, like this sensation is insane to me. Well done for Julia, new NXT Women's Champion. Even though we've known she's going to be in WWE for so long, there's still something weird to me about that sentence. And yeah, I think it's getting ready to be a crazy reign, man. I really would not be surprised if this was like your 383-day reign or some shit, man. Like, I think this is going to be nuts. Um,
First Joshi to win a championship in NXT since Io back in 2020. She beat
that's crazy.
I mean technically she beat Charlotte for it actually.
Yeah,
She didn't pin Charlotte, she pinned Rhea in a triple threat.
yeah, yeah. And I actually agree with Foster. This is one reason why I was hoping that Julia and Roxanne would main event. He said I thought the match could have been longer. I do too. I think these two, that was a good match, but I still think they have a great match in them. Provided the selling's there and everything, and you still really have a story because now Roxanne's aggrieved. She thought she was untouchable, and of course, this woman Julia is the one that beats her. So I'd love for them to run it back with a stip, maybe like an Iron Woman match or something, just to really flex Roxanne's technical aptitude one last time.
I'm glad
But
that you brought
yeah,
up Iron Woman because did you see anything about Rhea Live on Monday? Supposedly, like, was being advertised at one point as supposed to have been like a last woman standing match.
no, no, I did not.
Because I've heard like two or three people now say that that was apparently supposed to be last woman standing, and that they like like pulled that stip and made it like a normal match because of like the whole vibe of the show was like trying to pull in casuals and make it more appealing to the casual audience.
Interesting. It would have been cool if it was Last One Standing, especially because it was Netflix and you had all that time. But given that Liv is now going to want a rematch, you have a stip for a rematch right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
And especially with Liv being the heel that has a muscle like Raquel Rodriguez, it makes sense for her to bring the last woman standing up, unless Rhea does it to kind of a badass babyface moment. Either way, I would expect their rematch to be that. But yeah, we did that, and then we got this is another low point of the show, admittedly. Javon Evans' closed mouth promo after recapping what Ethan Page did to him. Depending on how long this goes, this could be an early candidate for my worst feud of the year. I
You
haven't
know
penciled it
what?
in yet, though.
I'm surprised that you didn't like this. I thought this was low key kind of fire.
Um, I agreed with you guys in the Discord that I thought it would have been better if Javon used cue cards because it's not what he said, but it was how inevitably he was going to say it
Yeah,
with the jaw wired shut in kayfabe, you know?
yeah.
Because yeah, the actual content you could tell Javon. Like I will give Javon this the credit with like the work with his face and his eyes, like that kind of expression was great because he looked pissed. He was like, I'm eating through a straw because of you. I had to watch what you did to Cedric. And Javon let you know, even just through his eyes alone, like payback's coming, and payback's a bitch. And I look forward to Javon getting it so we can move the hell on from this feud. Um, God, Ethan Page is so dull. I mean, the Rock. You want to know the Rock star power? He managed to make Ethan Page barely interesting because of their interaction on NXT. Ava trying to lay down the law to Ethan, and he's like, "Oh yeah, oh sure, of course." Kind of brushing her off, and then the Rock comes in, and he's very kind of playfully threatening Ethan and letting him know what's what. And then as Ethan leaves, he kind of smacks Ethan on the bottom, and that was interesting. So yeah, I mean, at least The Rock was on NXT, and that made Ethan a bit more interesting. But my God, he is a lost cause. Then we get our women's four-way: Lola Vice versus Cora Jade versus Kalani Jordan versus Stephanie Vaquer. Winner becomes number one contender for the NXT Women's North American title. Pretty fun, solid matchup. Kalani at one point gets a moonsault on all three. I thought that looked pretty good. Everybody kind of got their near fall moments where they might be the contender, but ultimately Stephanie Vicaire won with her backbreaker, the SVB, and I think she pinned. I want to say Kalani Jordan with this, and so that was that. So
Yeah,
Stephanie,
I do believe you're right about that, by the way.
yeah, I do believe Stephanie will be getting the next shot, or will she? We don't know because of something that happened later, which we'll get to in just a moment. Then we have Alba and Isla. They're
It
going to be
might have been Lola.
challenging.
She might have pinned Lola.
I think Lola got thrown out of the ring from what I'm reading. But yeah, Isla and Alba going to be challenging the Meta Girls, and the winners become the number one contenders for the women's NXT Tag Team titles. And I'm like, yes, yes, really hoping the Meta Girls win that. I think it'd be a great opportunity for them. Alba and Isla have already held the titles twice. You know, they don't need to hold them again. I think this is absolutely going to go to the Meta Girls, and that Bianca and Naomi are going to have a really fun match with them. And hey, you know, if maybe sort of possibly Naomi or Jade in a rage or something want to do something, and that something ends up with the Meta Girls becoming women's tag team champions, not really going to complain too much on my side of the table. I think Jakara's gotten a lot better teaming with Lash, and Lash, when they're ready to take her singles career seriously, I'll be ready to appreciate it seriously because she is a stud. Um,
Yeah.
After that, we get 6-woman tag action, Fatal Influence, no pop, versus Shotzi, Tatum, and Gigi. Not really much to say about this match. I really couldn't care about Fatal Influence. The only one I kind of like is, well, I mean, JC's cool. JC's actually grown on me, but I'm still curious about Jasmine Nix. I don't even know if this group is right for her. I just don't feel like this. I feel like this group is very much like Karrion Kross, where it's like, you're not the worst at what you do in the ring, but you're not getting any reaction, so it really doesn't matter. Or at least it's very tepid, the reaction.
Yeah.
Shotzi ends up
Gigi.
pinning. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Gigi, Tatum, and Shotzi are a really fun team, though. I like them a lot.
Yes, yes, I do agree with you. They are fun. I'm sure it's great for Tatum that she finally has friends. I love that for her. And so, yeah, they win because Shotzi pins Fallon. And yeah, then we get a little debate backstage about who the real number one contender is. I was a bit annoyed by this because Stephanie Vicaire's match was billed as a number one contenders match, so just give her title shot. But Shotzi's like, well, I did pin the champion directly, so they're going to have a match next week. Winner definitively becomes number one contender. It would be interesting if Shotzi won this, just because they wanted to keep Vicaire like kind of above the NXT Women's North American Championship, you know, save her up for Julia, maybe for Stand and Deliver. But I don't know. That would have to come at the expense, in my mind, of Vicaria's streak because she hasn't been pinned yet on NXT. And I don't know if I like that. I'm a bit conflicted with that. So I think Stephanie Vicaria just wins. I'm not going to overthink it. And so, yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Then the Ethan Page backstage thing with The Rock. So that happened. Then the Heritage Cup, which we already talked about. Then finally, what we can actually talk about, the triple threat match, Trick Williams versus Oba Femi versus Eddie Thorpius, who didn't show up for the good first part of the matchup. It was just Trick and Oba going at it, and I really like the chemistry and the energy between these guys.
Yeah,
What
I
did you
agree.
think
That
about
was
this?
the good part
Yeah,
of the matchup.
yeah. I think their solo matchup at Stand and Deliver is going to be fire. What do you think?
I certainly hope so. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Absolutely. I will say though, man, I will say, did this also? No, I think this match, while it wasn't my match of the year, because I really think those two guys are going to give it to me at Stand and Deliver. I did have finish of the year mainly because the right guy won. Because Thorpe does come in, and you know, after a few, you know, kind of just set back because of his opposition, you know, keeping him out. He is able to hit Trick Williams in the knee with a chair because he was going for a trick shot on Oba. Oba sidesteps. Trick each chair with the knee. Thorpe goes out of the ring, I think, from the impact of the trick shot anyway. And then Oba gets another power bomb on Trick and the 3 count. So I could say right away, I think Oba's going to defend the title against Eddie, maybe on a random NXT, just to really clear that away. Get Eddie out of the way, deal with it, address it, whatever.
Yeah.
And then again, the big stand and deliver matchup will be against Trick. Trick loses that. And yeah, then I think soon after he'll just be on the main roster. So I do think Trick is
I
finishing up
really,
NXT.
really want for Trick to earn contendership for the U.S. title and be Nakamura's WrestleMania opponent. That's like my number one thing for him right now.
That I think would be fantastic for him and would be a great way to jumpstart his main roster career. Um, And so, yeah, I definitely think that Trick is wrapping up with NXT. I'd like him to be on the separate brand from Mello for a little bit, though. I will say that too, because you did say US title. That would be SmackDown, where Carmelo currently is.
Yeah,
Carmelo right now is coming off as too much of a geek, in my opinion, for the reunion to really mean anything. Let these two still breathe as individuals for a while, because then maybe we can right the ship of Carmelo and hopefully we just navigate the ship rightly with Trick. And then when we bring him back after achieving that, then it could really, in my mind, mean something. So yes, Oba wins. Long may he reign. Who knows? He may be NXT champion going into Stand and Deliver 2026. He might have that long of a reign. We don't know. I fully expect dominance. And I think once he's done dominating there, after he drops the NXT title, within like a month, if not even a few weeks, he'll be on the main roster too. So I'm already thinking Obafemi main roster 2026 because I think they're going to really give him a monster reign here. And then he's just going to take over the world again. So I look very much forward to seeing that. I don't know though, man. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. Oba's got the title. What is your figure for his title reign? We thinking 6+ months? Do you think he goes the full year? What are you thinking?
I'm gonna say, yeah. I can't picture him losing it at Stand and Deliver. You want it to? It's gonna be a too recent of a thing. So, yeah, I can't imagine him having less than a 7 month reign. And I say
All right.
7 because that would take us into August. In August, I'm pretty sure there is an NXT PLE in August, right?
Yeah, there should be.
Is it Bash at the Beach?
It might be Bash of the Beach. Yeah.
NXT Bash at the Beach. Oh no, it's Great American Bash. That's what it is.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, and you know what? That's not even a PLE. That's just like an NXT special episode. So I don't, you know what? I don't think Oba's gonna lose the title on an episode either. I think he's if he when he does lose it, it's gonna be on a proper PLE. So yeah, man, I don't know. Let me Stand and Deliver. Then there's Battleground in June, Heat Wave in July, No Mercy is September. No, I think he holds it till the end of the year. I think I'm gonna up that 7 month up to like 11. I think I'm gonna say 11 month reign at least.
All right, well, we shall see. Then I didn't watch this at all, man, because I'm gonna be perfectly honest with our audience. I like The Rock, but I didn't like The Rock we got at the Raw Netflix premiere, and it seems like I wouldn't have liked The Rock here, because when people were rightfully calling out, "Oh, why were you nice to Cody?" He said, and I believe I have a direct quote here from the blog I'm using again. Credit to tjrwrestling.net. That's where I get all the recaps for this show. So much appreciated to them. He said, quote, what did they say? You can't be nice to Cody. Don't be nice to Cody. Don't drink tequila with Cody. Oh, fuck. At the end of the day, let us all remind them that The Rock is the final boss, thinking 20 steps ahead. So the best thing for them to do is to know their role, shut their mouth, and enjoy the ride that The Rock is taking them on. I don't know. If you're really 20 steps ahead, do you really kind of give the game away? Be like, hey, wink, just pay attention, guys. I promise it'll pay off. Because if I'm Cody and I'm watching, I'm like, what the fuck? Pay off what? I thought we were being nice to each other. And then they'll always just be like, no, you Rudy Poo. I was doing insert, very complex, multi-layered scheme here. Like, what are
Yeah,
you doing, man? Like,
yeah.
get it together.
He
Then
he does this though. He does this thing where he'll do or say something that doesn't connect with the crowd, and he'll listen to the crowd, and he'll make it seem like that was his plan all along.
he's so full of shit.
He is. I
Then
mean, he's a wrestler. All wrestlers are full of shit, man. That's literally their job is to just fake things on TV.
you're so right. He then says, quote, it says we got about 2 minutes left. They say we got 2 minutes. I'm like, fuck all that. We're gonna go all night. Oh, they're sweating. It's okay. It's okay. All right. I'm sorry for the language. I apologize. And then again, wraps up saying how important the fans are to NXT and everything else. And it was fine. And I'm sure the crowd had fun. I just skipped out on this because it just seemed calorically empty to me, especially after Oba won the title.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, after
Oba.
he won, Julia and Oba kind of posed with their titles together as confetti
Yes,
rained down, which was an amazing visual
dude.
for the brand going forward.
Here's my thing. I am so fucking happy that Dwayne was advertised for the show and that he closed it because the eyes that he brought to the show, and he most definitely brought eyes to the show because NXT this week did 957,000 viewers with a demo of 0.25, which is absolutely insane for any wrestling television show in the US that isn't Raw or SmackDown. And I posted quarter hours in the Discord, and they sustained that shit the entire show. This isn't like some AEW shit where the first quarter hour was 1.4 million, and by the time you get to the third quarter hour, it's like 800,000, and it just keeps dipping for the rest of the show. It was above 900, and I want to say like 33,000 the entire fucking show. They sustained that shit. It was consistent all 2 hours,
Yeah.
which means that all 933,000 of those people got to see Julia become the new women's champion and Oba become the new champion of NXT. And I just love that for them. And then Dwayne did pop the biggest quarter hour, but the difference between the highest quarter hours rating and the lowest was only 55,000 people. It was negligible. Like but they went from 933K to 988K from the penultimate quarter hour to the final quarter hour, and that's the only real difference. And I just you got to thank Dwayne for that because him being advertised, you got to imagine at least, is the reason that they did so well on viewership.
Yeah. I think you laid that case out impeccably. I'm not even going to touch that. And that was NXT. So, I will say this. I did watch one thing from AEW this week. Oh, dear God. Okay.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Oh boy, yeah, you sounded a little too eager there, my friend. First thing I gotta say is, I know that when I don't know, is the word insane, naive, maybe both. And I said, I'll try and keep up with Dynamite this year, just so that I really take in all the wrestling to be more responsible about my year-end awards. You know, um, about that, I think I lied, mainly to myself, thinking that I could do this without laughing and crying. Because I went back on the first Dynamite of the new year. Now, understand, I have a very weird sense of humor. And so when somebody posted a clip of an AEW intro with "I'm so excited" as the opening, I thought, this fucking guy, that's hilarious. I thought it was a joke. So imagine how I felt when I pulled up Max, the official host of AEW content, and that played. And I'm like, oh, so it wasn't somebody doing it for the lulz because they're pushing old people like Christian and Cope. Jesus Christ. They that was a genuine choice. And I just kind of sat there for a few minutes and I laughed. So I want everybody to know that that is an early candidate for funniest moment of the year for me. Because how in the year of our Lord 2024, when you know that
Five, twenty
metal,
2025.
excuse me, 2025, wow, that when hip hop is popping, I mean, my God, we had Fiend, who is doing the theme for WrestleMania, smoke a joint in fucking California live on Raw on Netflix, and then you counteract that with well, I mean, well, the theme wasn't there this week, to be fair, but I'm just saying the energy, like that's the kind of energy WWE on Netflix is wanting to bring, and that's how Khan responds, at least again for a recent episode of Dynamite. And then we get to this week because I know the week we're talking about, folks. Believe me, I am high as fuck today, but I'm still focused enough. I wish I was this. I trying to watch Dynamite because then I think I could have actually done it. And we have Jeff Jarrett, who they're calling the last outlaw, kill me. And they're literally doing this story with him. Again, Jeff Jarrett, the guy that I know we're all insanely emotionally invested in, if he can win the world title one last time in AEW. And you know, Max came out because he did a promo after he beat Cole, I believe at World's End. I can't keep the fucking name straight. And he said he wanted his Triple B back. You know, the big Burberry belt or whatever the hell. And he says to Jarrett, you know, like, oh, what you're not telling all these people is that's only because you signed a year extension on your contract. And Jarrett kind of gave him a face. So we know also, oh man, the pressure sure is on Jeffrey because he only has 1 year to make this happen. Oh my God, the suspense. Oh my God, unbelievable. And then MJF says, you know, I could help you with this goal if you want, but when I do, the payment I expect is that I get the first championship opportunity. And Jarrett more or less tells him to kick rocks. But I also put this, getting in nice and earlier, for potential worst storyline of the year because it's not even the story in and of itself. Can an old pro reach the pinnacle one last time? But he doesn't have the aura or the allure of somebody doing it. Like if you would have given this story to Sting on his way out of AEW, I would have understood it. I may not have personally been a fan of it, right? Just because I'm jaded and just have very different tastes, but I would understand it. Hell, when WWE kind of teased it with Ric Flair at one point when he was like, I've got one more reign left in me, and it culminated in him being in a Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 22, like Ric Flair or not, he is who he is, and there was always going to be an aura about that to people. I have never heard anybody talk about Jeff Jarrett in the same breath as a Sting or a Ric Flair, where a story like this would actually matter and have legs, right? Or have that kind of ethos to it. Hell, even John Cena now. John Cena now with this whole idea of there's not going to be a 17th reign because the streak that is consuming me is my losing streak. And he entered the Royal Rumble to a really nice fucking pop. So even John Cena, I think, is closer to that Ric Flair, that Sting, than he would be to a Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett, I mean, again, don't really care for Jim Cornette, but he said, you know, he smashed 1,000 guitars, never drew a dime. Who cares if he's going to be world champion again or not? I'm not saying there aren't people out there, but by and large, when we talk about a draw, is this story a draw? I can't see it. And between that and the theme that AEW chose for the prior week, you know, the whole I'm so excited, it's like you're trying to come off as this old product for the boomers rather than appealing to that Zoomer generation, creating a new generation of wrestling fans. Like I will say, it's appropriate that we just got done talking about this, NXT. NXT has got an amazing, gifted Black World Champion that's picked up the business so quick. They have a Zoomer wrestler to really appeal to that generation in Javon that will be main eventing a lot of PLEs the moment he gets Ethan Page out of the fucking way. You have Julia, who's an international sensation, and who I guarantee you more and more women and men are going to love the more she's able to be Julia. Their roster is cool. And hell, next week they have a chance to build even further because in the same week you could have the Meta Girls as number one contenders for the women's tag titles, and you can have OTM as NXT Tag Team Champions beating Fraxium. That's a cool brand. That's a cool championship roster and roster in general. So what the fuck are we doing? I swear to God, AEW, their arenas are like really just time capsules. Really well edited, well construed time capsules that look like actual arenas because I feel like I go back 50 freaking years watching this crap. So yeah, that's all I watched from AEW, but it was enough obviously to inspire all of this. Did you watch anything from AEW this week?
Yeah, I actually did. As a matter of fact, I tuned in to Dynamite, and I watched the first little bit of it. Like I watched the opening match, which was Osprey versus Matthews. I was surprised to see Osprey beat Matthews with the Hidden Blade, but then I talked to some people and found out that apparently the Hidden Blade is just his finisher now, like his main go-to finisher that he beats most people with. So
Hmm.
apparently that's a thing. And then saw Bobby Lashley versus Mark Briscoe and arrived at the conclusion that Mark Briscoe just should not be on TV. He should probably be relegated to ROH for the Honor Club. people, people who want to pay for that subscription, let them have it. Um, then I got to watch the. Actually, I missed this because I was doing a bunch of other shit. Like, I left the room and I was doing bathroom stuff and I was doing like making myself a meal and like I was just all over the place. But the Casino Gauntlet for the number one contendership for the AW Championship, which was won by Powerhouse Hobbs, so that's really cool. I did
That
hear,
is cool to AEW's credit. I like
yeah,
Hobbs. Yeah.
I did hear him cut a promo. He basically just it was a pretty generic promo. He said that he was gonna basically just kick Moxley's ass. Um, Muted MJF because then he came on and he cut his promo. And then we had the triple threat between Willow, Tony, and Chris Statlander for the number one entrant into the Casino Gauntlet. And I might have actually, I don't remember watching this, so I'm wondering if maybe like while the MJF promo was happening, I might have just like turned it off and done something else because I genuinely don't remember watching that triple threat match. And I feel like if it would have come on and I would have still had my TV muted, I would have just unmuted it and watched that, but I don't remember it. So, but anyway, Statlander won it. So Statlander is going to be number one in the women's Casino Gauntlet next week. But I don't really think that's going to matter because I think everyone's just betting on Tony Storm to win that anyway. Because it's for Mariah's championship, and there's that whole thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that got through AEW summarily enough. So, did you watch any extracurricular stuff this week?
No, I did not.
I didn't either. So let's open up the forum for questions, everybody. What are your questions about this week in the world of wrestling? Unless we don't have any questions, but I doubt that very much.
Tavares, if Tony isn't in it, why was she in the match to determine who's going to be in it at number one? That match that just took place on Dynamite wasn't for a spot. It was for the number one spot. Like everyone that was in that match was in the gauntlet. It was just they were fighting to see who could get the number one spot because if you enter at number one, and this is, dude, you know what, John? I didn't think I was going to rant about AEW today, but I can. Do you know how the Casino Gauntlet matches work?
Like I say a pair, but obviously I don't mean a pair. I mean more than a pair. Isn't it like a cluster of people come out per interval, and then
No, those are the Casino Battle Royales.
okay, what are you asking about then?
The Casino Gauntlet.
Oh no, I don't know how those work.
So you know how to gauntlet match. You know how a regular ass gauntlet match works.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Normally in a gauntlet match, you get two people, and when someone gets beaten, the person who beats them then gets a different opponent, and you keep on doing that until you run out of people, basically, right?
yes,
Well, with a casino gauntlet, it's staggered entrances. So you get, I think it's like every 3 minutes or so, you get someone new entering the ring. It might not be that. It might only be like every 90 seconds or something. You get someone new entering the ring, and it's first fall to a finish.
okay, okay, yeah. That's yeah. I don't. I think maybe I've only watched one Casino Gauntlet they've done, so yeah, I'm not too familiar with the concept.
I think
But
that having it be first fall to a finish is the dumbest shit imaginable. That it should be elimination. It should just be elimination. You should just have it so that you can have these staggered entrances, sure, but you should have it be elimination. It should be so that the last person standing wins. That's how gauntlets are supposed to work.
yes,
It's not a
yes,
fucking gauntlet if it's not elimination. It's just a staggered entrance singles match.
yes. All right, Caster Sales. Is there any chance of Aleister Black winning a world championship in WWE? I mean, I'm still waiting for it to be confirmed he's going back to WWE because I'm not really jumping on anything. If he was to go back, though, I could see him as world heavyweight champion, never undisputed WWE champion. I think that championship eludes him, but the world heavyweight title on Raw, well, currently on Raw, I could see that still. I like Alistair a lot. Well, currently still Malachi Black, if we use his AEW name, which I think we should until he is formally released. I think he's got a lot to offer. Hell of a talent. I was heartbroken when he left WWE the first time because I've said before on this podcast he's a license to print money, and I think with how WWE presented him, especially now that they've got the Netflix money, and he would be on the same show potentially as a group like the Wyatt Six, I think that printer is still perfectly functional. So yeah, I would say yes, but I would specify the world heavyweight title as it's currently on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah,
For him.
yeah, I'm pretty much of the mindset of never say never.
Yeah, yeah. Abel, have you acknowledged your tribal chief today? Every day, Abel. You never have to worry about that.
Yeah, I've acknowledged Solo Sokoa.
Very nice. Super Blue. Should WWE have the Women's Rumble be on Netflix next year instead of the Desert in 2026? I mean, of course, but they're not going to do that. Saudi has locked that down, and that is a huge, huge deal for them. So, not giving that up. Any other questions? Is your thoughts on this? But shouldn't Tiffany be a face now and not a heel because she was getting squeezed out by Candace? Um,
She is kinda.
she is. I think Tiffany's more of a tweener to me right now because even her
It's a
promo a little bit that I saw
transition.
on the
She's
yeah,
working on it.
yeah, she's transitioning for sure to babyface. Um, all right. Any other questions, y'all? Questions going once, going twice, going three times,
Well, this was quick.
closing the gate. All right, let's move on to high spots and low shots. You know what? I'm gonna say my low shot is Trick Williams. Loses his NXT championship this week. And really, it's because of Eddie Thorpe mainly. I mean, that chair to the knee really incapacitated him enough to eat another Oba powerbomb when he was just really dialed in on it being him versus Oba in a singles match because Eddie wasn't in the match for like 80% of it. So, yeah. Trick is my low shot. Who is your low shot?
Liv Morgan. She lost the women's championship to Rhea, and I don't think she's ever going to get it back from her now that Rhea has champion's advantage.
Absolutely. High spot for me. I'm going to say high spot for me, Stephanie Vicaire. Even though she's still got to beat Shotzi. She is very much in title contention for the Women's North American Championship, and I think that's very cool for her. So I'm just going to make her a high spot. Who is your high spot?
Oh, bah.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Our God King,
And
our
since you
new
didn't mention her,
next
we might
champion.
as well throw out honorable mention Julia
Yes, indeed. Congratulations to Julia again, new
and
NXT Women's Champion,
Rhea
and Rhea. Yes, it was,
and Roman.
and Roman. Yeah, Roman for declaring for the Rumble and winning Tribal Combat on Monday.
Exactly.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, with that said, guys, this has been the week in review by TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. So, guys, be sure to like the video as you file out, subscribe to the bell icon notifications so you miss any of that TWitWoW goodness. Check out everything we're involved in the description box. Follow us on Blue Sky and Twitch because we are the best wrestling podcast in all the IWC. And we will see you. When are we thinking, Ashton? Wednesday for Monty Gold potentially? Monday for Monty Gold potentially?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I know we'll see you guys Thursday for Stardom. We're finally going to be covering Dream Queendom, or at least select matches from Dream Queendom. And I guess anything else they'll have on board. It's been a weird upload schedule for them. I'm guessing we're going to be getting hit with a lot this week. But yeah, I'm also thinking we'll be doing a Monty Gold show with Utami as the Monty Gold World Champion. It's going to be very
Wednesday
interesting.
is probably a safe bet for Monty Gold.
All right, we're going to say Wednesday at 6.
6, yeah.
All right, Wednesday at 6, we'll see you for Money Gold. Already said Thursday at 7 is Stardom. And if you're really just
Wait,
here,
I thought that Stardom would be Friday, not Thursday, because didn't wasn't that the one that was like only going to be going like Dream Queendom is only going to be going up on the 17th or something like that?
oh, you know what? Yeah, I believe you did say that. So, yeah, I guess Stardom would be the 17th. for
So
Dream Queendom
do we
mainly.
just skip it again this week entirely and then do it the following week, or do we just do it Friday?
We did it Friday. Would we have to do it at 5? Would we even have to do it at 4? Like, what do you think?
I
Because we
have
obviously don't
no.
want to run
Well,
into
you know
snagging.
what? Let's play that by ear.
Okay, yeah, we'll play that by ear. So what I'll say definitively, guys, is Wednesday at 6 from Gold, and then if you're just here for the weekend review, it's just Saturdays at 10:30 because again, our next PLE is going to
When
be Rumble, which isn't until February 1st.
when I
So
don't sleep in.
there you go. And so yeah, guys. Until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be good to yourselves and each other. Tune in and peace out.